Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Vet Chats, where we help veterans share their awesome stories and keep positivity going throughout the veteran community. I hope everyone had a great weekend. I had just kind of an odd weekend. I didn't leave the house much, which is not like me. I like to be outside a lot more, but yeah. So I hope you had a great weekend. Hey everyone, how's everybody doing? Awesome. Well, tonight we really have a treat for you. This is my first recording artist, first veteran who is in the music industry, and I'm super excited to have him on. I see he's on here. So why wait? Let's get him on. Welcoming Jake. All right, I sent the request. Okay, there we go.
There we go.
Hey Jake, how you doing tonight?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. So, is it Mach or Mach? Because I played your song on Alexa today and it said it different than how I thought it was.
So me and my fiance, we just talked about this today and we wanted to make a post. So I just made a post about it and it's actually Mach.
Maish, no way.
Yes. So they
Wow.
both have like a long A.
Okay, gotcha. I like that. All right,
Thanks.
cool. Alexa's gonna have to fix that.
I don't know. I don't think she's gonna fix. She's gonna be stubborn.
She is really stubborn. So, how was your weekend?
Good. We had 2 shows over the last 2 nights and nothing today, so today was kind of relaxing.
Oh, wow. So, does your weekend usually look like 2 shows, more than one show?
Usually we're doing 3 to 4 shows a weekend.
Wow. And
Yeah.
that's like a lot of traveling, or is it kind of close by?
It's a lot of traveling usually. I say on average gigs are about an hour, maybe just under an hour away.
Okay.
And then we always got to get to the show about 30 minutes early for setup and stuff like that, especially if we've never been there before. But yeah, it's usually 3, 4 gigs a weekend, about 3 hours a piece.
Wow. So a lot of late nights.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
The,
All
the
right. So
show won't end too late, but between pack up and driving home, it's just you get home and it's like almost midnight and we're like, oh.
yeah. I bet you just want quiet, right? You're just like, no more noise.
Oh no, we come home to a puppy. It's all noise.
Oh my gosh. I always say puppies are worse than newborns because I mean, you gotta let them out. You can't just put a diaper on them. They are so needy. But yeah, so let's get started on your story. So you are from Central Pennsylvania. How did you end up, well, actually, what was your life like before the Navy? Because I know you started your career even before you joined. So yeah.
Um, so out of high school, I kind of went like the traditional way and I went to college for like a semester. And then something while I was in college was always just pulling me towards, I feel the need to enlist. I just feel like I need to enlist. And I couldn't tell you why. It was just something like I just felt drawn to do. Um, yeah, so now I enlisted and I think I depped in around June and then they told me I was going to ship out on Valentine's Day of the following year, which I was kind of like, all right, whatever. And I let my job know, like, I'm probably going to be here till mid-February next year. And then in like middle of November, they were like, change of plans. Your date is now December 6th. So be here December 5th.
Wow.
So I had like a really quick indoctrination, I guess, to the military.
Yeah, yeah, like little time to prepare too, especially if you're
Yeah.
like, trying to let your job know and all that. So you ended up being a corpsman. Is that what you joined to do?
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
what got you into that field? Or what did you do as a corpsman?
I was a search tech.
Okay.
Corpsman just seemed like a cool thing because there were so many opportunities after A school, just because there's so many NECs you could have done. And then somebody showed up and they were like, when I was in A school, a couple people showed up for C schools, just trying to recruit a little bit. And they were like, who here wants to do surgery on people? And I was like, that sounds cool. I want to do that.
What are they like what's the range? Like anything from minor to like, open heart, or how does that work?
So we did open heart surgery when I was in clinicals. So I never got to do one as like I was kind of running everything, but I was there with the people that were doing it. I was scrubbed in. One surgeon was like, "Here, hold your hand on the heart just to keep it out of my way to retract." But for open heart, they stop the heart and they bypass everything, and they're pumping blood through a machine on the outside. So the heart's still. So he's having me, and I'm like, I haven't even graduated C school yet. I'm just in clinicals, and he's having me like hold a stone heart just right in place, and I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I
It
couldn't
goes
do it.
from
The heart.
some people were just, they got like a little skin tag and we cut it off.
Okay.
So it
So like
was
a real wide range.
very, very much, yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I can't picture that. Like the heart is the one thing that freaks me out. Like I don't even like to picture that. Like knowing that's inside. I
It
couldn't.
was so cool.
So, so you ended up going to Norfolk. Is that where you wanted to go?
Yep. Yep.
And then,
It was close to home, and ironically enough, I knew somebody that had been stationed in Norfolk for about 8 years, so I was kind of led to believe that they had connections that could get me playing gigs in bars around there. So that kind of played a factor into it a little bit. But once I got there, it was like nobody that person knew was there anymore. And it was just kind of like I put the music thing aside because they had you on all different kinds of shifts all over the place, and you really couldn't plan anything. But so it goes.
yeah, so you worked at the hospital in Portsmouth, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I can imagine some crazy hours. And I mean, I know I hated going to Portsmouth, driving through the tunnel, all the traffic and whatnot.
Yeah.
What was kind of like your experience there?
Um, feel like it's like with everywhere, it's like it's kind of good and bad. Like you have certain people, it all comes down to the people, and certain people made it easier, certain people made it harder. Everybody's trying to get promoted, so there was a lot of turnover. So like once you get to, so I was an HN for most of my time there, and then we were keep getting like new HM2s, HM3s in, so that they would have to get put into positions of leadership, but they're trying to get promoted. And then there's us who's trying to get promoted, but all the stuff we do is behind a red line where nobody can really go unless you're in the scrubs. So it was kind of hard to like quantify that on paper. So it was really hard to pick up. So it was really, really competitive. Hours got changed all the time just because of how many people were coming in and out. And, they only want the people that are trained well to be on the off shifts,
Mm-hmm.
which means that the people that are trained well can't be there to, buff up their brag sheets a little bit, I guess. So the whole thing was really difficult. And there was people there that definitely made it easier. Like a lot of the friends I made there made getting off work like so much better. Like, let's just knock this out. We can go to the gym. We can go home. We can do whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what really gets you by is sometimes the people, and just, being able to not commiserate, but just like, connect with one another after. And
Yeah.
just even though the work's stressful. So you got to go on the Comfort, which I was also on that ship. And I thought it had the best food ever. That was kind of like my favorite experience on the different ships that I was on. How did you feel about it?
I've never been on a Grey Hall before. I was stationed on the Kearsarge, but I never set foot on it, and they would just keep pulling me for the Comfort. So I have no idea what to compare the food to. But I didn't think it was too bad. People just slapped some soy sauce on everything, and it was all right. But
Right.
it was a good time because like we got good workouts in on the ramps that run from the bottom to the top. We got a lot of good workouts on that. But the second time I was on there was when COVID happened, and we went to New York, and that was awful. Just because they shut everything down, they shut the gym down, they shut the galley down. We were just getting like boxed lunches and boxed dinners, and it was just kind of like that.
Wow. So what would you do when you were, like off duty, you weren't working hours? You'd have to go just hang out in your rack?
No, no, we found our spots. But
Yeah.
no, I played guitar pretty much and read. That was about it.
And what? So for anyone who doesn't know, the Comfort is a hospital ship. The Navy has two of them, one on the West Coast and one on the East Coast. And so you guys pulled into New York, and what were you having, like civilians come on board, or what kind of service were you guys doing?
Nobody really knew. Like we got there and it was just such a very like they kind of just threw us on the ship all at once and nobody really knew what was going on. They were just like, I guess we're going. Because I think the original plan was we're only going to take the overflow people that the New York hospitals can't handle, and we're only going to treat non-COVID patients because we're in a big ship, very confined. It's probably not the best idea. And then that kind of turned into I don't even know how that turned into okay, well we're taking COVID patients that have high mortality rates, like we're expected to die, and we actually got I think the number they gave us they said like somewhere in the high 80s was expectant to die, and we got that down to I think 20 something.
Wow, that's
But we
really
weren't like
good.
the terminal care, like we were doing a lot of like trachs and stuff like that. But
Oh,
it was definitely really odd because it was just like the whole sense the whole time was nobody really knows what's going on. We're playing every day, just kind of with the yeah, with the cards we're dealt. But
yeah, because that's kind of a hard decision. Like, who decides who gets to go over there? You're kind of like mixing in military people with a civilian, like local governor. So it's not really, coming from
yeah,
like your chain of command. I can imagine how confusing that is. But did any COVID breakouts happen?
uh, not that I know of. Um, um, yeah, not that I can really know of.
Well, that's good. And how long were you guys there?
Honestly, I don't even remember. It kind of ran together. I want to say a month, month and a half. It
Okay.
wasn't long.
Yeah, wow. That's intense, especially not being able to like leave the ship or enjoy it. Like,
Well, eventually they did let us leave the ship because they just took us out and put us in hotels around New York. But that was more so to prevent COVID from spreading through everybody because we started taking on COVID patients. So
okay.
they'd bus us in at a certain time every morning. We'd leave based on what ship we were on.
Okay. So you had to, wow, that's even more complex then. So you have to like, would you have days off like, or no?
No, I mean you couldn't just like hang out in your room at any point, but you'd have to go to the ship every day. But if anything, you just go to the ship and be on standby in case they needed you for anything. And for the surgeries we were doing, we had I don't like more than a handful of surge techs, so it was kind of like most of us were waiting around, and then somebody would come in and they need a surgery or like maybe two or three surgeries at one time. But it wasn't like we were all like all hands on deck,
Mhm.
busy the whole time.
Yeah. And I'm sure if you wanted to go anywhere, this was right when COVID started. So there
Yeah,
wasn't really anything open at all.
nobody knew what was happening.
I can't imagine how confusing and crazy. That's a wild time. And so you mentioned you brought your guitar. Is this where you started kind of playing again and you got into the talent show?
No, so actually, so the first time I was on the Comfort back in 2019, I think it was. That's when uh I was working in SPD, so it was in sterile processing. So when we weren't putting sets together, there was enough downtime where I could just kind of play and write a little bit, and um, people started coming up and hanging out, and people were taking notice, and they were like, "Hey, you you should try doing some music stuff." And then they also had a band that was it was me and I think two officers and one other enlisted, and we just had like this little band. And the chaplain was the one that kind of got everybody together before we left. It was like, if you have instruments when you go home tonight, bring them tomorrow. And we were like entertainment for the locals.
Oh, that is really cool.
Yeah, so they've set up med sites and they're like checking people and sifting through like what surgeries we can and can't handle on the ship. And then it's just me and like three other people just playing for 6 to 8 hours. I forget what it was. I wasn't singing much. I was mostly just playing guitar, but that's kind of how I passed my time. And then they said they were going to do like a shipwide talent show type thing just to boost morale. And the MWR obviously was hosting that, but I signed up for it, and the first were like, you're a songwriter. We kind of want you to do an original song. So this was like a every week thing. I think it was 4 weeks or something. But yeah, I had songs ready, and people would always come up and listen to them, and they kind of helped me decide which ones I was going to do that week. And I was like, oh, well, I want to save this one for the end because I feel like I get the best reaction for this one. But yeah, so I won that, and I won a PlayStation and sold it to a buddy.
Hey, that's a pretty good prize. I mean, sometimes the
Yeah,
Navy or like MWR will have like, oh, here's a free ticket to the movie theater on base
yeah,
or something
and that
like
was a
that.
PlayStation VR, and I had already talked to
Dang.
people like on the off chance that I get any of these, because I think they like there was multiple ones, and in the order that you won. So like first place got first pick, third place got third pick. I was like, if by chance I get the PlayStation VR, does anybody want to buy it? Somebody was like, yeah, cool. I
Nice.
don't I don't need a VR, but yeah, no. So I got home after that deployment. Got home, started just buying some recording equipment, and I recorded my first album that I put out on like Spotify and Pandora and stuff like that. So that's my first professional album, I guess. It's called Songs That Got Me Here.
Okay, so this was while you were still in, and how many songs were on the album?
That one was 8, and that was just kind of a collection of like my favorite songs that I wrote that I liked that I just kind of wanted to put out there. And enough people were telling me, like there were certain songs where people were like, yeah, I want to play that for my buddies when I'm back home or wherever I go. So you should probably like record some of this. So I did it, and I think it's working out so far.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely is. So what kind of like goes into that like songwriting? I'm just curious. Is it more spontaneous? Is it something like you could just plan like I'm gonna do this, or like what kind of like inspires you to write?
Literally anything and everything. And I wrote one song no, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I think it took me like I wrote the majority of the song in like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then just came back and changed some words in the second verse like a day later, and then I recorded and put it on TikTok, and that was my first TikTok video that got like 200 likes. But
Wow.
I mean, it's not a lot compared to TikTok, but for me, who doesn't go on TikTok a lot, I was like, not bad, okay. And then there's
Yeah.
some songs that I'll start and I don't really feel like I can finish it, or like I'm not inspired or in that mood enough to finish it, and then I'll come back like a couple years later and be like, oh, that okay, that works here, and I could take that line and put it there. And but no, this EP I got coming out either at the end of February or at the beginning of March. These are all mostly true stories. I got to change a couple things because some road names don't rhyme and some stuff doesn't match up. But um, yeah, this next one, I put 2 singles out this past year, and the whole EP is going to have 5 songs on it. And one of them is called 95, which is about me and my fiance and our first year together, which was my last year in the Navy. Because I lived in Virginia and she lived in PA, and we were long distance for the whole first year, and that's kind of like my song to that, and that's my newest single out right now. One's called Sticks and Stones, and that's just about kind of growing up before cell phones ruled the world, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of growing up outside and doing fun stuff like that with your friends. One's called Looking, which is just it don't matter how low you get, eventually like the best things come to find you when you ain't looking. Another's Road for Troubadours, which I was just in a real reminiscent type of mood. So I was just kind of rambling about like I'm playing these empty rooms. Nobody has any idea who I am, but this is me just kind of paying my dues and doing my thing.
Yeah.
And then the other one's It Takes a Village, which is about after my dad passed away. everybody just kind of came in and tried to, you know, fill that gap. And it takes a village to raise a kid.
Yes, absolutely. How old were you?
When my dad passed,
Mm-hmm.
uh, fifth grade. I don't know what
Wow.
age it is. 11, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, wow. I bet you that song definitely has some, like soul in it. So Jana asked what genre, and that's country. What artist would you say you're most alike?
Oh man,
Like if you had to name, you can name a few. Like what kind of sound would you put yourself next to?
I don't know because I feel like every project I put out kind of has a different feel to it. Like songs that got me here was really like kind of anthematic, I guess. So like more, it kind of sounds more like you're at a concert. And then Indigo was more of like a rock, half bluesy, so almost Chris Stapleton type feel. I think I was going
Okay.
for. This one kind of has more of a bluegrassy feel, and there's like more fiddles and like pedal steels, and kind of has that like 80s, 90s country sound. Um,
Yeah. Yeah,
I
I feel
can't,
that.
I don't know. Maybe somebody that's watching knows me and they can help me out.
Yeah, help him out.
I think I saw
When you
a couple
hear
people I recognize.
Jake's music, what other artists come to mind if you had to describe it? So, do you think at the Navy kind of changed your view of pursuing music as a career, or maybe what point did you realize like I can make a career out of this?
So my last year, so after I recorded the album, um, same thing with like the TikTok thing. Like when you look at the numbers, it wasn't like off the page numbers, but it was enough where I was like, people are kind of into this. Maybe I could do something with this. Um, but my now fiance, but at the time girlfriend, she worked in the marketing department at this place, and they were looking to book music, and she was like, well, my boyfriend's trying to, play out. Would you mind booking him for a show or two? Because I used to post a lot more videos of me playing before I played out. And she would watch the videos and she really liked it. So she's like, yeah, let's book him. So she booked me at one, and then I emailed other places, and I was like, I was trying to like hustle my way into places a little bit. Just like, hey,
Yeah.
my music's on Spotify. My next gig is at this place, even though it's my only gig, but just to let them know I'm playing out. And we kind of snowballed that into more and more gigs. And then I think it was 6 gigs by the end of that year. So I got out. I started my terminal leave in early October of 2021. Um, so from October to December, I think I played 6 gigs, and then we took that and rolled with it. And then all of 2022, um, we played 104 gigs in like 50 something cities, and it was like over 6,000 miles. But and that was in my first year. And then now,
That's busy.
yeah, but now because of what I did in 2022, I'm eligible. I got put up for the 2022 Best Male Country Artist at like my local music awards. So, so if you're watching, please follow the link in my bio and go vote for that.
Yes, yeah. When I share the replay, I'll definitely add that link. So go vote for him. That's huge. That is really cool.
Hey,
And I think this is your fiance. He gets compared to sounding like Chris Young the most. Oh, cool.
yeah, that's her.
That's a good one. You have a great fiance, by the way.
I know,
Congratulations to both of
right?
you because she hooked you up. She was putting you first, and that's incredible.
Well, she's there for everything. She books all the shows. She goes with. Is, she's never missed a show. She's been at every show. She slings merch. She takes pictures. She does everything. And
Yeah, she's like
I really couldn't do this without her.
that is incredible because I know as a veteran that first year getting out is scary. It's kind of like the most isolating, confusing time. So knowing that you had someone solid to lean on,
Yeah,
that like
figuring stuff out.
money can't buy that. So how was your first year getting out?
Um, Incredible. I think. I think. I kind of set myself up for success as much as I could before I left. Um, I was accepted into school. I had a job lined up part time. And yeah, I had a couple gigs going for me. and a place to live. I had a brother-in-law and my sister. They let me live with them for a little bit before I moved in with my fiance. But yeah, originally I planned on going to school and bartending part-time as like my main income. But once I started playing shows, the music kind of took off, and I put out a whole nother album, and it's just been incredible.
Yeah, you don't hear that often, so I'm so happy to hear that your first year it was really kind of like launched you into this next phase of your life.
Yeah.
So, what were you going to school for? Did you want to continue any of the surgical tech stuff or?
So I considered staying a surge tech and, just keeping my certification and doing it around here, but I kind of wanted a less stressful thing to do while I was going to school. Like I didn't want to get off school and like be doing homework and I get called in for some life or death situation. Um, but yeah, I considered it, but at the end of the day, I also knew that it wasn't something I wanted to make a career out of. And I'm going to school now for mathematics, and I want to be a data scientist.
Oh,
Unless this
that's
music thing
awesome.
keeps going as well as it has been. But my real
Yes.
person job that I'm trying to set myself up for just in case is data scientist.
Okay. And what kind of jobs would you be doing? Like where would you be working?
I'm pretty sure most places nowadays equip data scientists in some way or another. Data
Mm-hmm.
scientist, data analyst. They're kind of interchangeable. Data scientist just kind of takes everything a data analyst does and goes a little bit further with it. Like a data analyst might be like, here's the numbers from this quarter, yada yada yada, and explain it to people. And then a data scientist would do that and then just be like, okay, judging from this, here's where we should go from here. We're trying to get this to match up and whatnot. But
Okay.
um, yeah, pretty much everywhere where you're handling data. Instagram Live right now is you got plenty of data scientists. There's can't remember the word. There's an adhesive research place like right down the road from me that has data scientists. Anywhere nowadays in like modern technology is they got data scientists.
Gotcha. So you think you'd do something like more research or maybe work for like a giant corporation like Instagram?
I prefer to keep it like small town, but
Hmm.
you know, anything that pays well and gives me a job right out of school,
Yeah, and would
I
you
can
want
always
to
try
stay
to
local
work my way
then?
up.
Or could you and your fiance see yourself moving to Nashville where a lot of the country action happens?
No, we're set. We want to stay here.
Gotcha. Jake, Matt, how do you, Mosh?
Mish.
Mish. Okay. This is
Mish.
Josh.
They almost
We have
rhyme.
the
Jake Mish.
same last name. What's up, fam?
Oh,
There
what's
was
up, man?
another question earlier. I'm sorry I missed it. It was asking if you knew a street. Let me see if I can find it. You know University Drive, Jake. Does that make sense to
It,
you?
it sounds familiar. I feel like it was in Norfolk, but it's probably because I'm thinking ODU.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, I remember that one. That's where there was some sketchy little clubs on
Yeah.
with sticky floors. So what do you think's the biggest difference between your first album and this new album that's coming out?
Uh, I think the first one was more of a collection of songs that I'd written over however many years, and I was just like, these are my 8 songs that if I were to put them out, I'm gonna put them out. And there were some songs. There was I think 2 or 3 songs on my second album, Indigo, that ended up on there because either I couldn't figure out how to record it well for my first album, or I just didn't think it would fit on the first album. But that one was definitely more of like a um, if you listen to Kip Moore, I feel like it was more of a Kip Moore type
Okay.
sound. Um, but then this new one, like I said, it's got fiddles and pedal steel and mandolin, and it really sounds like we went for a '90s feel for this one. So I'm really
Awesome.
excited.
So how about personally? Like when you look back and see yourself with the first album and what place you're at in life, how would you compare that to this?
I feel like now I'm more fulfilled, I guess I'd say. I feel like because the first album was like kind of stories. Not every song on the first album was true. I can't think of any that was like 100% true, but a lot of it was like, I had an idea and I ran with it. And I say some people write stories and some people write books and I just write songs. Like if I have an idea, I'll roll with it and just kind of see where it goes. Like not every song I write is true, but for this current album, I feel like I really was coming from the heart on a lot of it. And, a lot of it, when I play live, it's kind of, I feel a lot more emotion to it. Whereas on the first album, when I play it, it's just kind of like I'm playing a song. Or, I like this guitar part, so I wrote something that went with this. Or I wanted to solo on this song. But no, this current album is my first chance I've actually gotten to work with an actual producer. Because the first two I produced myself, and I'm not a very, very good producer. But the guy I'm working with now, he was a session player in Nashville for about 12 years. And he's playing all the instruments and singing background vocals. And it's just awesome to be able to like work with somebody who really appreciates like the 90s country and like more of that traditional feel. And, he really can feel where I'm coming from with these songs. Like when we're recording it, you can tell that he understands like how much these songs mean to me. And, it's a really emotional, I feel like, album.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, so how is it working with someone else? Do you feel like you have to compromise at all? Or, it seems like you're pretty supportive.
I was so nervous because I've never written a song with anybody else. I've never recorded with anybody else. I've never done anything like that. It's always been just me. So I just kind of reached out to him through Facebook, like, hey, I want to pitch something to you. I know you do session work, meaning like, if somebody needs a fiddle for a song, they'll send him the song, he'll play the fiddle and send his track back. I was like, I know you do that, but I know you also produce your own music. Is there any chance we might be able to link up? And I want to put out a handful of songs, and I was hoping maybe you could help me. And we ended up, because he lives in my hometown too, so we met up at like a local ice cream shop. We thought it was a coffee shop, but apparently they don't have coffee, but they serve ice cream.
Hey,
so we grabbed
still
it, and yeah, right. And we just talked about everything, and I'm so happy we did because I just feel like it was a perfect match. I feel like everything I'm going for in a certain song, he understands where I'm coming from, especially because his experience. He has a great feel for what instruments would fit where, like when something might be too cluttered or we might want to tone back. But it was I don't think this could have gone any better. I like he's a bluegrass guy, so he has two bluegrass bands, and he puts out his own solo stuff. But man, it's just awesome to have somebody that kind of shares the same vision as me. And it started out a little nervous. Like if he had an idea, he was kind of hesitant to say something because he didn't want to come off as pushy. And if I didn't like something at first, I was kind of hesitant to be like, I know you're a professional and you do this for a living, but I'm not feeling that. But we're both very, I think, understanding, and we compromise so quickly. It's like I might sing something, and he's like, well, try instead of going down, going up on that. And I'll try it. And he's like, okay, what do you think of that? And I'll play it back. Okay, yeah, I really like that. But no, we work very, very well together, and I'd love to work with him in the future after this too.
Yeah, I mean, when you can brainstorm with someone and just spit out ideas, once you get to that comfortable spot, it's like magic. It's really cool thing. I don't know it with music, but I can just picture it the way you're describing it. That sounds like a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
how often, like how many times do you have to record a song before it's like, all right, good to go?
When I was doing it myself, about like 80 times, it was awful. It took so long, and it's just me. And you're your own worst critic. So I'd sing something the whole way through, and I'd be like, yeah, I didn't like that one part, and I'd go back and patch that um, over and over and over and over again. And eventually, like my voice was just shot, or like eventually it kind of lost the feel to it, and I'd have to come back the next day and just redo the whole thing. So doing it myself took forever. But then his name's Troy Angle. So if you ever see me share any stuff from Troy Angle, that's him. But he's just a professional about everything. Like, everything just works so well. He's been doing this for so long. I'll send him like a work track of here's an idea for a song. Here's what I got. Just me playing guitar into like a phone note, and then he'll take that and he'll come up with drums. He'll come up with like a bass line. We'll figure out guitars, and then I'll go there to record. We'll just kind of play it through a couple times, and he'll be like, "Well, I'm feeling this. What are you feeling for this?" I was like, "No, I'm feeling a little bit slower," but he's thinking mid tempo, so we're gonna play it both ways and see which one sounds better with more instruments in. And but no, like after I leave the session, and within a couple weeks he'll have like a general work track back to me where it's almost done and it's just missing like some flourishes or some mixes, and I'll just go back in and re-record like final vocals, and then he'll throw in what's the word, harmonies. He'll throw in harmonies on top of that, and then just send me a track back. And then it's just kind of a back and forth between little things like, would you mind bumping the drums up here or tearing the bass down a little bit here?
Gotcha. Yeah, see, these are the things that a lot of people don't think of. You hear the song, but unless you're an artist or someone like yourself, you're not really dissecting it. Do you feel like you listen to music differently now because you know all the behind the scenes?
Absolutely. And I feel like my fiance hates it. Because I'll
Like what?
listen to a song and I'm like, man, I really don't like, I feel like that was a generic line. I don't like that. Uh, yeah, I feel like they could have done more here. They really bumped up the drums really loud there. You can barely hear the guy. I'm so critical. That's
Yeah.
something I need to work on me. I have to be less critical listening to music.
What's your worst, like the worst genre of music, something that really irks you?
I don't think I have a worse genre. I feel like every genre's kind of got their really good and really bad. Like, I feel like most people are like, oh, he likes country, so he probably don't like rap. Like, I like some rap. I like J. Cole.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there's good in every genre and there's bad in every genre.
Like,
Mackenzie said he
I'm
got me
very
started doing
lyrically
it
driven.
too. That's
I'm
funny.
sorry, but
Um, so I'm curious too, like who are some of your favorite country artists?
so my number one is Eric Church. Um, my number two is I say Cody Johnson, and those are like my two big ones. And then aside from that, I listen to like those are the main two, and then like a bunch of like more singer songwriter types. So like I really love Haley Whitters. I love Ray Fulcher. If you know Luke Combs, probably half of Luke Combs' hits were written by Ray Fulcher, and he's doing his own solo stuff now. And yeah, those are the big ones.
Yeah, those are some big names too. Yeah, I like a lot a lot of those. I grew up listening to like classic country and all that, so I really have appreciation for country music. But now, one of the final questions that everyone's been waiting for. How did you grow such a nice beard? You've only been out, I guess it's year two now, going on year three. How did you get it so full? I mean, my husband, he's still struggling.
Uh, I didn't cut it. I went to a barber a couple times, and I was like, "You mind just cutting the ends off so like the dead end so it grows a little longer?" And then I'd leave the barber shop, and my beard like lost an inch. Like, man, I don't cut it.
It's just natural. You don't use any oils, no special products.
When I started, I did, but after a while, it was like I feel like this ain't doing shit. I do brush it.
It's good.
I do brush it. It looks horrible in the morning. This morning, it was doing some weird thing where it wanted to split down the middle and go like that.
Do you ever like hairspray it
Nah, nah. I got a straightener. I'm not gonna lie. That's my dirty little secret. I got a straightener.
to really lengthen it? Ah, that's awesome.
Yeah, for gigs. I don't want it to look raggedy while Ken's is taking pictures.
There you go. Yeah, you have to model now. You got to be photogenic, ready to go, especially up on stage. It's all about, you know, selling yourself too when you're
Yeah,
selling music, I bet.
I know when she she's taking pictures, I'll ask her before shows, like, well, what shirt do you think I should wear for this? And she'll be like, well, it's a light background, so you might want to wear something dark to give it some contrast. Okay, cool. Dark shirt it is.
Smart woman. You really you gotta have her on payroll because she.
I do, man. I put
Well,
that
that
ring on so quick.
yes, yes, very
Not
smart
soon
decision.
enough, but I was like, I had it in my drawer, and I'm just like, man, I can't wait.
Ah. So, do you guys have a date?
Yeah, we just set the date before the show on Friday. On the way to the gig, we stopped by our venue and locked in the date. So it's October 15th.
That is so exciting. That's gonna be incredible. Fall's a great time to have a wedding, especially up there. I bet you like all the leaves are gorgeous.
Yeah, that's like prime fall leaf time.
Prime foliage. Well, Jake, it's been great having you on. Where can people find you at? Please plug away, and we're gonna have that link for you also, so people can vote.
Thank you. I'm on Instagram. Obviously, I'm here, so I'm sure I'll be tagged in this. I'm on Facebook at Jake Nash Singer Songwriter, and you can find me on Spotify and Apple Music and wherever you get your music. Jake Mash. My album Valley Tapes is coming out either the last week of February or the first week of March. And yes, please follow the link in my bio. Vote for Best Male Country Artist for 2022. It would mean a ton, and I'm up against people that have been doing this for way longer than I have, so every vote definitely counts.
Yes, everyone loves an underdog. So yes, please go vote. Thank you everyone for joining the live. Oh gosh, my voice.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for joining the live, leaving the comments. It was great chatting with everyone. Or if you're watching the replay, listening to you on the podcast or YouTube, thank you so much for supporting Vet Chats. And I hope you all have a great week. Bye, Jake.
Wow, thanks for having me.
Yes, of course.